Before we start this video, I want to put a huge disclaimer out there in that I created this video with the idea of helping 96 to 97% of the players out there. Uh, I know people have a tendency a lot to look at like pro play and try and mimic what the pros do, thinking that that would help them carry games. But pros play a very different game than the rest of us play. So in the lower ranks, to carry as a support, you need to dish out a lot more damage versus healing. And as you climb through the ranks, you will need to dish out a lot more healing than you can dish out damage. And how you play is going to be entirely dependent on the rank that you're at in that given place and time. In the lower ranks, you can definitely prioritize doing damage and helping your team secure kills because of the fact the damage output coming from the enemy team is going to be far lower and far slower than as you climb through the ranks. And as you climb through the ranks, you will find you need to start shifting your playstyle to healing more often than doing damage. And it'll get to the point that in the ranks of bronze, you could be doing 90% damage, 10% healing. And then by the time you get into the higher ranks, you might be doing 99% healing and 1% damage. Uh, but how you play is going to be entirely dependent on where you're at in that given place and time. And that's going to be a judgment call that you will have to make in your games. So I don't want you just to sit there and think that you just need to heal bot. But I also don't want you to sit there and think that the same way that you played in gold or platinum is going to continue to work as you climb into the higher ranks. Uh, so that being said, I hope this video does give you guys some ideas in terms of especially how to carry yourself through the lower ranks. And you keep in mind that as you climb into the higher ranks, you are going to have to adapt and change your play style. So that being said, let's just jump into the video. Okay, this support video is going to be on Cloak and Dagger, and this one, isn't specifically Cloak and Dagger. It's just sort of in general of like doing damage versus healing. And this one is a Diamond 1 GM 3 level game. While playing and teaching myself new heroes, Cloak and Dagger was one of the ones I had used the most. And it was all post nerf stuff, I believe. So, this isn't like a flavor of the month type thing. I still wanted to, understand how she worked and play her a little bit better. So I also had another support underneath my belt. And I will say, just for those who don't know, the E gives extra healing. The bubble is super powerful. It's one of her survivability abilities. Cloak's right click, which is his little fade thing, also one of the abilities, plus an escape tool. And Cloak's E, I learned, did not just do damage, but also did damage amplification. So I heavily use that as a means to, weave in damage. And, I'm going to call this damage weaving. That's not an actual term. That's how I consider it. So what I'm going to show you is how I play somebody like Cloak and Dagger, who, traditionally people might just think is just like, oh, you primarily want to heal, and show you how I play super offensively. And I chose a game not where I was absolutely crushing it because there was a lot of games that was just like, it was too easy and I didn't feel like they were really worth it. But this one, I had a tank that was very negative and dying a lot just from being out of position and trying to take on a Punisher up close. Uh, and we still managed to pull out the win. And I'll show you how I did that in this game.
You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
So here, what I try to do is I'm trying to just throw out long range shots to get extra ult charge, and I noticed that they're bouncing off invisible collision. Because you see here, like, I just throw out shots randomly. It's 5% ult charge. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. Like, you always want to get as much charge as you can. And if I can weave in some extra damage early, I will. Here, I prioritize healing because of the fact that Magneto is standing out in the open and he's not standing near cover. This is a problem that even he admitted later. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, I turned my brain off. And you can see as soon as I get low, I save my right click to be able to keep myself alive. And the moment I know that I'm in Loki's totem and I'm pretty safe, I actually temporarily switched to Cloak, thinking that like, okay, maybe Cap was still around. You still see me check to see because I didn't see that he died. Because once I'm in the totem, I know I'm safe. And that's a big thing here. Is like you'll notice that like I'll switch to damage when I know my teammates are going to survive and be fine without me healing, and also when I know that I am safe. Like right here, I'm specifically heal botting because of the fact that, as you can see, based off all my videos you've seen me talk about, like he's got no cover, right? Like he's standing out in the open on the worst side imaginable instead of standing us near us here where he could still be poking. So he's got to use both of his defensive abilities to stay alive. And my worry is the moment I have to reload is when he's going to die. Black Panther gets pulled back into the enemy team by Invisible Woman, which was nice by her. I throw down my bubble to keep the thing alive. For some reason, Magneto doesn't walk into the alt. And here you see that with my alt up on the point, I go for damage. And the reason why I go for damage is because if my team needs heals, there's my alt all over the point, right? They don't need me to heal bot them anymore. What we need is damage. And you see how I push Rocket away, and then I immediately went into damage mode. And the same thing that I do with like a dive tank is I push their supports back and I turn back around and I start pinstering. Because look how now they're surrounded by me and they don't have their support there. And I don't need to prioritize healing in this moment. My team should have been able to kind of take him out, but they're there. And now that we have Cloak's alt here, or the Loki copy Cloak alt on point, I don't need to be healing anymore. I need to be doing damage because the faster we kill these people, the better. See, look, I don't need to turn the damage on. I just need to focus, or I don't need to turn the healing on. I just need to focus on securing the kills. I missed the window. I throw down the bubble preemptively expecting damage just to make sure I don't die. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on that drawing thing. Okay, turned on, so now I can use it. Here, I use my fade in order to get to a high ground position where I feel I can do more for my team and also be in a safer spot. I use that ability knowing that the enemy team is still coming up, so it's safe for me to use one of my survivability, defensive, get out of jail free card abilities. I wouldn't normally use that if I knew the team was already around the corner. I want to use it at a time when I know it's safe, so it'll be off a cooldown by the time that they arrive. And at the same time, as a support, you can off angle as well. Off angling is not something specific to tanks and DPS. You can create your own space that way. Throw the bubble down to help my team, and for some reason my team doesn't stand in it, and they back away. And here, as they apply pressure and as they have like the Invisible Woman ult, I start to back up and give them space, right? I can still heal from far away. And that's exactly why. Now our team starts to die. And you see how the moment I start getting attacked, I put down my bubble and I see Cap there and I immediately go into damage mode. Because whenever people are asking, how do you deal with dive heroes as a support? How do you deal with dive heroes as a support? You fight back. You worry about surviving. Because you see, the way that, our tanks had previously died on point after the Invisible Woman ult is they just stood out there and took all the damage for free, knowing that we didn't have our support ults yet. They could have given up some of that space and played back and tried to stay alive and then repushed in with my ult. But instead, because you see, if they would have stayed alive, I probably would have been charged up by now if they just would have backed up to me. But instead, they decided to push in, die, and then just made it harder. So now in this situation, we're just trying to survive as we wait for them to come back. And Cap used his ult, but he didn't get anything out of it as I chose to fight back against him. Well, the rest of his team was on the point. And you see he's already going ready to dive, and I'm ready to fight back immediately. I saw someone low, so I decided to go for an offensive ult. And watch, I turned the damage on. And I'm standing in my ult, so the odds of them killing me are pretty low. And I body block the door to try and keep Cap inside for hopefully my team can try and get a pick, right? And I accidentally get pulled in, so I get out. I try to throw my E to the blind, and apparently the turret blocks it, which is something I learned at that moment. And here, you see how I saved my get out of jail free card? Now look, I'm in a safe position in which I can help myself and I can help my team. Well, except for that penny. That penny was... That Penny was just basically mad and just out of position all game. But you see how like Cloaky's ult, Cloak, Cloak, the enemy Loki copied my Cloak and Dagger alt, and because of that, I once again turned the damage on. The faster we kill them, the better. I don't need to be healing my team right now. I need to be helping them secure kills. And now that they use the Invisible Woman out, look, I back out to someplace safe again. And here I see and I look and I see that my team is, we've lost the fight. People are pushed back. And when I turned and what I saw was I threw the bubble down for my Magneto. He walked the other way. Cap was there. And I turn and I look back and you can see Loki dead. Penny's over here. I am the last one, right? The odds of me going around and getting away from Captain America or any of their other enemies is slim to none. So what I choose to do is I choose to intentionally die in order to reset faster, right? So now instead of staggering myself, I try to respawn at the same time as my, well, apparently Penny, who once again, Penny had died, should have reset, and then she pushed back out there and then dies again. So here I hear the alt. I throw out my E preemptively because of the fact that I realize when playing Cloak and Dagger, her E to amplify healing, it by the time you want to use it when people are low, at that point you don't have a time to take a break. So I just use it preemptively when they're going to take damage and kind of just use it off cooldown. Here I get blown up by an Ankh and I just didn't see it coming. I thought I was near cover, I thought I'd be safe, and it was not. They're using ults even though they shouldn't because they already won the fight. Penny's dead again. Here I'm just trying to help my team. Once again, you want to fight? I'm going to take the fight. And watch. I get myself low, and the moment I feel like I'm in danger, I use my fade as a way to get away and get to someplace safe. And I'm always thinking to myself, as Cap is coming in on me and attacking me, like, okay, if I have to, I can use my fade to get away. And I know that there's a window over there in which I can get away from him using my vertical advantage. So I can grab the health pack, I can come back out. And I can heal my team back up. Once again, every time I see Cap come in and he tries to attack me, I'm going to attack him back. You're not going to be able to get them to run away, the divers and flankers to run away without damaging them. So that's my priority. Because you see, like right there, I kept the damage on. Magneto doesn't need this bit of health topped off. He's fine if I leave him alone. It's better for me to do damage in that instance than it is for me to do healing. That was a really good watch. I throw down my bubble and immediately start going into damage, right? We have the advantage because we took out one of their DPS. See, every time I'm going to do damage, I'm going to then use my ult because I can play aggressively. This is where I die. I died because of the fact that I wasn't tracking Magneto ult, and by the time he started casting, I didn't have enough time to think. I should have gone to the left on my last move instead of the right. But that's on me. I should have known that that was going to happen. That's what Magneto does. So, yeah, I just didn't think fast enough by the time he had used it. A lot of times too, you'll see me use my ults pretty offensively and pretty quickly because of the fact that I want to try and give myself the advantage sometimes before the enemy team has a chance to do something. One of my biggest frustrations when I see people play support is they hold their ult for too long. And then by the time that they use it, we're already so far low and so far on the defensive that it's almost impossible, or somebody's usually already dead, or two people are already dead. And then we use the ult, and by that time, we already have lost the numbers advantage that it's no longer helpful anymore. And I see myself get low. I'm in a bad position, and the support holds the ult, and then I die, and then they use the ult. For me, I'd much rather use ults pretty offensively in order to give my team the advantage than I would hold on to them. Right here, I'm just going to prioritize healing. I know that Moon Knight was there, so I was playing a little offensively to try and get him out. I hear the alt, and just the same as like my positioning video, right? Where, people ask me, well, how do you do this with, how does this make sense for supports? How does this make sense, for, the healing role? I want you to notice like right here, the moment I rotate into this room, right? Punisher is on the other side of this wall, right? I am here specifically for a reason. They can't break this wall. I am safe, right? Yeah, I can see my teammates safely from this position, and I can heal them and not have to worry about the Punisher ult, which is just a lot of damage. So all I need to do is give up that space temporarily, sit in a good position, and try and wait it out the best I can. My team starts falling over though.
Only 60 seconds left.
I'm trying to heal my Magneto and keep him up. I probably should have gone up and around and saw that this fight was over, but I was trying to help my Magneto think we could do something. I throw the bubble down and I get stuck in the doorway because I think I can go through and I can't. At this point, I'm telling my team to specifically just like reset, stay alive, and not die, and they don't listen. Right? I tell them to back up, to back out. We don't need to die, and we still push out. Every time I look, that Penny is just always dead.
Don't give them another inch. Or else.
See,
That is now that.
this is the problem of staggering, where it's just like, well, what do I do when my teammates are staggering? It's like you still have to try, right? Like right here, because of the fact that instead of seeing that the fight was over, we just kept staggering out one after another. It puts me in a really difficult situation here because now I have to try and keep uh, my teammates alive, and Magneto backs up around the corner in the worst way, and none of them go to touch the point.
The current score is
That
0.
Penny was just basically like walking out and dead off a cooldown. So like you'll see here, there's 3 deaths, 4 deaths, 5 deaths, and Penny has 8, right? Uh this is part of the reason why the game was so difficult is one tank I had that was just dying off cooldown, basically. And the other tank, admittedly was just like he said he was struggling. So I don't blame him for that. Uh, but because of that, we were just losing space because we were staggering so much. But as a
Battle
support,
starts in 5,
realizing I was like,
4,
okay, like
3.
what can I do here in this
Focus
situation?
on the mission area. Got it?
I still need to try and make plays. And what I need to do is then take a bit more risks, I believe, to try and make a play because of the fact that I know that the penny is basically just going to be dead off cooldown all the time.
Just embrace the light.
So here I'm sort of like scouting and getting a view of things. I don't think I needed that bubble. See, penny dead again. There's no amount of saving I can do. So at this point, I just prioritize healing everybody else. I don't pay attention to what Penny's doing anymore. If Penny is in my LOS, then I will heal them. But if they're not, then I'm just not going to bother. So here, because I'm standing in the bubble, I'm still playing safe. Once again, that Magneto bubble I didn't need. Off cooldown, pressing my E. I am throwing all of this stuff, but you can see also like I'm hugging this side, right? This wall is here is providing me a lot of cover. And I'm not taking too much damage that, the Magneto is still taking most of it. So what I'm trying to do in this instance, I should probably use red pen. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is just hug this wall to keep myself safe from as much as possible, waiting for an opportunity for us to go in. And a lot of times, what I'll do if I can't use my bubble is I'll try to build my ult as fast as possible. So that way I can use that as an offensive tool. And you see that with the totems up, I use it as an opportunity to go on the offensive and weave in some damage.
My time to shine.
I see the Magneto's low. He uses defensive abilities. I try to convince him to stand in the bubble. And now that the bubble is up, I'm immediately going into damage mode. And if my team needs heals, they can stand in the bubble. But you see, look, because of that, I helped secure the kill on the Squirrel Girl, right? That might not have happened had I not been in damage mode. And I don't need to switch to healing mode right now because my tank is fine. He has this much health. He's probably got some resources. He'll be okay. And so I use my ult offensively to create some space. And once again, I stay on damage mode. I fade up to get away from the squirrels. And then I get caught by a really, really good CC from Squirrel Girl as I turn around to prioritize healing the tank on the point. Once again, you saw on my team that I was the first one to get the ult because of the fact that I was just trying to, um, be proactive. And then the moment I got it, I immediately used it, which also forced them to use 2 ults in return. So even though we used my ult, it was a trade 1 for 2. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's still winnable, right? So here I am once again. We're just prioritizing heals. She, I, I thought I could fade out of that, and I could not. Um, I managed to stay alive. I immediately switched to cloak and or dagger and switched down the bubble, and I prioritize healing to keep my team alive. I mistakenly think that there's an enemy below me. It's my squirrel girl. And now I'm just like, you see how, like, right now, when people are really, really low, when they start to get low, that's when I'm prioritizing healing. That's when they need healing more than ever, right? Now that the totems are down, I immediately go back into damage mode and watch. I immediately hit the squirrel girl, and then she immediately hits me back. It was the right idea, and it didn't work out. When Loki totems are up and your allies can stand in those totems, you don't really need to prioritize healing per se. And what you can do, when you have the bubble down as well, you don't and you're near your allies, you don't necessarily need to prioritize healing there either. Like, I'm constantly looking around to try and keep track of like where everybody is, and I am uh I am constantly trying to take a look at like which enemies are low and who could be blinded and who could be amplified for damage, because amplifying damage and helping kill someone is sometimes what you need to do. And when people are like, "Oh, why aren't you heal botting me?" It's like that's not your only job. Your job is to help secure kills. Your job is to provide support in various ways. Healing is just one of those ways. And a lot of times the support I play really aggressive, and it's I just hope that my team will follow up, because if my team plays aggressive with me, then it makes it much easier. But you see how like I'm almost near another ult, and you see how I'm prioritizing damage? Like, my tanks are on point and they're taking space. They don't need health right now. They are fine. They have a bunch of that resource there. They're okay. I use my heal once again to create space on the point. If my team needs heals, they can go for it. You see how like here, I have the ability to use my mobility to get up here in places where like Magneto can't go. So I go here and I immediately help secure the kill, and I start pushing Rocket back. And look, just because I'm support doesn't mean I have to be behind my tanks the entire time. I can take space too. That Rocket is running away from me. So many video issues today. Anyway, yeah, you don't have to uh think of yourself as only being able to stand in one position. You can off angle, you can control space, you can do a lot of things. Healing your teammates is part of the job, but everybody has a, specific sort of role to play that helps their team. But everybody can also, equally help in terms of controlling space. It's not a specific role type thing. Don't think of the game so black and white. The game is very fluid. Sometimes you need to do damage, sometimes you need to heal. Sometimes DPS need to take off angles, sometimes they need to stand with their tank. And sometimes the tanks need to be doing damage, and sometimes they just need to be standing on the objective. Like, what you need to do in this game is very much constantly changing. And so some people have pointed out before that, in in the comments of my other videos, that, they see what I do and they understand my thought process, and they might do things a little differently. And it's true. You might do things differently, and you might even have ideas that might have worked better than me. But in the moment when you're playing these games, it's very difficult to know exactly what one is the perfect one. But you kind of just have to make the best guess that you can. And then when it doesn't work out, ask yourself, well, why didn't that work? And what could I have done to make it better? So here you see me going on the offensive. I'm just going to blind the whole group and push them back. And look how scared the entire enemy team is away. And I know that like my Loki's behind, so I'm trusting him to heal during this time. I throw down my bubble and I miss. So I just throw down my E and I start to recharge in full health. At this point, they're all just taking too much damage. And here, the same, once again, the positioning thing. I can see that my teammates are dying, right, when they should have been backing up. So immediately I start rotating back, and now this cover has me safe to where I can see both of my allies, but they can't see me, right? So this is a safe position for me. And once again, I hear the Punisher ult, so I start backing up, and I see Penny decide to face tank it. There is no amount of support in the world that would keep this Penny alive. There's nothing anybody can do. And by the way, this person also was complaining complaining during the game and also like vote, put up the surrender vote. Like that positioning right there, when you hear a Punisher ult and you are a solo Penny, you need to leave, right? But instead, they LOS their supports and die on the point once again. So here I stand behind cover. I'm just trying to stay alive. I'm letting that run out. I'm not even peeking, right? I'm just waiting for my team. I go to poke out a little bit of damage. I heal up the Squirrel Girl again. I start back into the side and I turn in and she takes a spear. When people die that fast, you're not, that's not you not heal bodying enough. Like you shouldn't be taking damage that quickly as a DPS, a tank, or any other role. Like if you're taking enough damage that you get bursted, it's not on the supports for not keeping you alive, right? Because I have to keep in mind, where the enemy is, where my other teammates are, you know. And once again, right there, that Penny, I hit her with a bubble, I hit her with my E, and I'm heal biting her, and she still decides to walk point blank with the Punisher and get herself killed. There's nothing in that situation you can do in order to help these people. So what you just need to prioritize playing the game the best of your ability, right? I immediately turn on the damage for Cloak because of the fact that I'm like, okay, I need to fight back if they push me. And here, once again, I don't have my bubble, but I have my fade. I have my get out of jail free card. I go to heal. I'm too low. I'm going to grab the health pack because I know that it'll keep me alive. I'm healing. I'm keeping people alive. I hit with the E. And now I use my ult in an offensive way. And this is sort of the same way as I would play a dive tank or I play a dive hero. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and control this entire area of space, right? I am not just going to ult on them and then back up to my team where it's safe. I'm going to ult all the way around the corner here because you can't stack Cloak's ult anyway. And what I'm going to do is create a pincer where I know that if I'm in that ult, I'm pretty much safe. I've found myself to be relatively safe through most of the game. So what I'm going to do then is immediately control all this space, go into cloak mode, and prioritize doing damage. And look, I pushed Punisher into a terrible position, which gets him killed. I put them into a bad spot. Rocket realizes there's nothing he can do. He kills himself to reset. I go into damage mode. I don't need to heal people. There's one person, right? And here, I don't know what happened, but our Loki just absolutely cracked out. I know that our team has the advantage, so I'm just holding down left click on Cloak. Like it's infinite ammo. I don't need to worry about anything. I'm playing up because I know that they're still resetting, right? And I am going to try and like help my teammates possibly stagger people more or control the space better. Because you see, look how I'm like up here and I'm playing aggressive with my team because I know that if we push up and we can control this space better. And look, since we're still waiting for the payload, I'm just sitting there helping my team control space. I am controlling this side. My team's over here on this side. We have good angles on both ways in. Loki's on the payload helping push it. We are controlling a lot of space. And it's because of the fact that I'm not afraid to push up and play aggressive. Sometimes in the game, you need to start playing a bit more confidently and take risks as other roles. Like I understand that DPS usually have to take the most risk by taking more extreme off angles. But just because you're playing a support doesn't mean that you can't control space too. Here I'm just prioritizing healing and I go out there and I immediately hit I try to hit Punisher with the blind and I always forget that he's CC immune to this stuff. But once our Loki had ulted with my copy of my cloak ult, I went to damage mode, right? And now that the enemy support ult comes out, now I'm gonna go back into support mode because we're not gonna be able to kill anything. I saved my bubble to keep myself alive, and now I can help my teammates apply pressure and hopefully live.
This is real
They're
firepower!
taking a lot of damage too fast, too quickly. I'm trying to rotate, and as I rotate, once again, the same thing is support in my positioning view. Like, how does it relate to the support? It's all the same thing. I can see my teammate safely from here. The enemy can't see me behind this pillar. So I'm standing in a position where I'm constantly thinking to myself, not just like, oh, I need to heal this person. It's also how and where can I rotate to where I'll be the safest? Where can I stand where I can see my allies, but the enemy team can't see me? I throw down the bubble. I keep myself alive. I hit the fade early, expecting and predicting damage, and I get out.
Get that vehicle moving again.
It was good rotations and good usage of my abilities and positioning, which kept me alive.
Down to 30 seconds.
I hear someone on my right, so I'm looking around. Now, once again, I'm going to use my ult offensively, and I'm going to use it to control the space. And immediately as I get back through there, I turn into Cloak and I put on the damage. And now look at how many people have damage amplified on them. And I'm not going to die in here to a Scarlet Witch and an Invisible Woman and a Rocket, right? When I see Rocket, he's low on health. Immediately turn the damage. Look, I am pincered. He's not even looking at me. It's easy free kills. I'm hiding behind the cover. I'm staying alive. I'm turning on the damage. And I'm not using my E in this moment in case they push out because that one is already surrounded by us. And I'm not trying to waste my cooldowns on situations that they're not needed. So I'm saving it in case they have another chance to touch and I want to damage amplify anyone walking through the door, like right now.
Judge, jury.
See, look, I'm doing damage. They don't need to be healing right now. What we need is to kill people faster. And two people attacking the same person is not enough for one support to heal through. Whereas, like, if I was just heal botting someone in front of me and they were heal botting someone, it would kind of just be like a deadlock and just seeing, who breaks first. I'm just trying to help my team out, and by doing so, damage is needed more. That's the reason why I drop the bubble on the point, and I immediately start helping my team do damage. If they need healing, they can step in the bubble.
The current score is 3-2-3. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
It is in the interest of all mutants that we succeed this day, and so we shall.
So yeah, I took a screenshot of this again because now Ode is 19 and 15. Before that last fight, they were, I want to say, like 13 and 15 or something. And they were just dying off a cooldown. Once again, you saw their positioning all game, just constantly trying to fight a Punisher up close as Penny. And then they went to Iron Man, and I basically was just like, okay, I'm not going to play around this person. I'm going to try and help out the rest of my team who are at least trying their best. And even Terry, who said that he was just struggling and just wasn't really thinking, was at least trying. So I was like, okay, I can play around the rest of these people. And I told my team to go up and around. And the point, by the way, the point of going up and around is to try and control this space, right? So a lot of people, and this is Diamond One, this is like almost GM, and people still don't understand. The point of getting up here is not to hop down directly on the point. It's to try and control this space, right? So we see that they're up here. So what we could have done instead of just hopping onto the point where, by the way, there's zero cover on this point. Stop hopping directly into the point. Use the cover around to push them off of the high ground and get them out of this location, right? Because if you just hop down in the front here, you're just going to end up taking a bunch of damage and dying. So yeah, you can see here already, Iron Man dies immediately, right? And now that I see my Magneto has dropped, I'm going to try and back him up and support him by immediately throwing down our defensive abilities. And you see how, like, once I'm in totem and once I drop the bubble, I'm trying to help them do damage to secure kills. I see my tank is going for the Invisible Woman, and unfortunately, we don't get the pick, but we force her off of the point. And just like playing a dive tank, where you push the enemy back, now I'm going to loop back in with my team and try and collapse on the people that are there, right? Because look, now Magneto Now he dies because of the fact that we pushed out the invisible woman. We didn't secure the kill, but we did control the space, and we did that as a support, right? We did that by doing damage. I go up to play a bit more offensively. I believe I die here. I see Invisible Woman. I help secure the kill because I know that it's a free pick. I throw down my bubble. I get stunned by the Scarlet Witch and I die, which was unfortunate, but luckily my team popped off and my Loki was still alive. Thank goodness.
I wasn't sure we'd get this chance again.
This Loki was actually really freaking good this game.
Help get that vehicle to its destination.
So I hear Invisible Woman steps, which is why I was like, I heard footsteps, so I was just like being prepared to do damage. Because once again, I am not afraid to take a duel with someone as a support. I will fight you. Like, just because you're playing support doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing damage, right? So look, we have totems out. We have people pushing. Cap is trying to stall the point. What do we need to do? We need to kill the Cap. I'm standing on point. Which, like, the overtimer is going down. Yeah, Cap trying to stall the point. I'm attacking him to try and get him to stop that. Why the overtime bar was going down, I can't tell because I thought I was on the point the whole time, but I guess you have to be directly on top of it. Because, like, look, it's still going down, even though we're staying on it. So here, because of the fact that, like, Loki had ulted, I said, like, stand on point. I'm going to ult next to try and control the space. And once again, same thing. I'm going to use it offensively. I got a Magneto ult, and I immediately duck behind the wall. I see Cloak fade, and just like all my other videos where I tell you, hey, look for the people who have made a mistake. I am standing in my ult, so I am safe. I know that she doesn't have her abilities, which makes her a free pick, which means I can kill her, right? I can kill another one. I controlled all of this space through the use of my ult and created a pincer attack like I would have done on a DPS or I would have done on a dive tank. And my teammates would have been safe if they knew to just stand in the ult. And I would hope that at this point they know to. So I don't need to worry about keeping them alive. My ult is there to keep them alive. Once again, Captain America is surrounded by all of us, so we're just going to turn the damage on. There's no reason for me to heal. We need to kill something as fast as possible. Being a good support and carrying a game as a support means not just heal botting. It means knowing when to weave that damage in and when to be healing, right? In this situation, I can't do any damage. I'm not trying to leave the point. So what I'm trying to do is just provide my team with support so I can heal from the back as they control this space. And I'm just trying to not leave the point because I know now that Loki is going to get to his ult pretty quick here. And by the way, this is super crucial as a support. You need to know to not double stack your ults on top of each other. And Loki and I have done a really good job this game at making sure that he would ult, then I would ult, and then he would ult, and then I would ult, and we keep that pattern going. You do not want to waste support ults in this game. So here we're controlling the space. I am just focusing on healing. He copies me and he ults. So then I turn on the damage. Every single time I know that I can stand in a support ult and I'm safe, I'm turning on the damage. And look, immediately because I do so, we help secure the Invisible Woman because of the fact that she's out of position. We hit her with the damage amplification blind and immediately we start melting her. Now there's a Magneto here in front. I throw down the bubble preemptively, and I go right back to doing damage, right? Because what my teammates need is they need the threat to go away. They don't need me to heal bot them right now. What they need is help killing the target that's in front of them.
Judge, jury, executioner!
And because of that, we end up pushing all the way to third point with only having a minute on the clock.
The current score is 6-3. Time to shine. You have to stop them from securing the mission area.
So now in a situation like this, what I'm thinking most of all is that sure we want to try and hold them as much as possible, but even if we don't, the goal is to get ultimates stacked up and then uh since because of the fact that we capped on third point, we have a ton of time. There's no reason to rush. What we can do is try and first hold on this first point, but if they take that first point uh and they have ultimates, we can go out and what is considered a dry push, which is you don't use any ultimates, right? And I'll make another video about this sometime in the future. But what you do is when you know that you've lost the fight and they have more ultimates than you go out and you attack them and convince them to use their ultimates. But because you have so much time, you're like, screw it, we don't have to do anything. Don't ult. And then when you come back again, because it's overtime, by the time you go back to fight them, you'll have so many ults stacked on top that they just can't win the fight and they'll just lose. And that was my strategy here was help my teammates out, try to hold, and if it doesn't work out, we're going to ult them in overtime. That's unfortunate because she got me. She died while I was reloading. There's just not much you can do sometimes when that happens. But here I'm prioritizing healing because of the fact that we are down one, so we're naturally going to be taking more damage. I sear storm, so I turn on the damage, thinking I might need to defend myself because once again, the way that you deal with DPS who are harassing you is you harass them back. Here I see Invisible Woman staying out of position, so I put on the damage amplification and I help kill her, right? And I right click up and I think to myself that I'm safe behind this cover because I help secure the killing the Invisible Woman. And I think that I'm safe and I don't notice Magneto can see me and he hits me, which is really good on his part. And then we start to fall over. It was a good pick by me, but I should have played safer seeing how low my health was. I didn't see the Magneto there. And that's on me. But here, we are losing this fight, right? And I'm trying to tell my team, like, just back out, just back out. And instead he goes in. But once again, no matter what, even when my teammates are making like the bad calls, I don't follow them on the bad calls. I try to play the game the best ability still. So what I'm doing here is I am just trying to stay alive, right? I kill the Yonk, so I make sure that he doesn't get hit. I heal my teammate up, which by the way, really good teammate, standing behind cover, waiting for heals. I see my Black Panther is taking a duel, so he takes priority in terms of where my heals are going to go because he isn't an imminent threat. Here we use Loki ult, and I'm staying in ult, and you see how much damage I'm applying? I immediately back out because Magneto is ulting, and I don't want to get hit by it, nor do I want my teammates to get hit. I throw down the bubble. Oh, it is dead like I expect. And instead of ulting, because of the fact that we had already lost two, I wasn't going to ult here because once again, it's in overtime. All we need to do is win one fight. And I know that if I hold my ult and come back out, they don't have their ults to stay alive, right? And we are going to have so many that will naturally just win the fight, right? There's no reason for me to stress and try and make a 4v6 work in our favor. What I need to do is just say, hey, I'm just going to die on point. And I tell my teammate, die as well. Just die. Because we have enough time with how far back the payload is that we don't need to rush. We will come back out, group as 6, and then fight with ult advantage. See, look. We are fine. I am checking, and I'm constantly turning around, and I'm taking a look where my teammate's at. Can I ult? Is it safe yet? Right? And when I knew it was safe, I draw a circle around the objective, so that way we can push them off of the objective. And that's me controlling space as as support. And I turn on the damage and look at the situation I've created for them. They don't want to stand in here because they know it's dangerous. I see my Black Panther flanking, and now I'm joining him on the flank as I send a damage amplifier and blind directly through both of their supports, right? The tank, I'm not worried about. He has to be near the objective. But if we take out these supports, we win. And naturally, we just, I use my get out of jail free card to stay alive. I throw down my bubble. immediately leaving the ult, and now I help my teammates finish off the kills.
Final score 6-2.
And you see how throughout the entire game, even with tanks who are, either feeding or just maybe standing too far out of position, not remembering where to stand for their cover, I am still controlling that space. I'm going for picks. I'm going for damage on people that need to be damaged. Uh, th- there's no reason as to why you as a support need to be heal botting the entire game, because a lot of people are obsessed with like, they see these numbers and they're like, oh, numbers go up, numbers good. Like that's not what you need to be doing, right? There's context to everything. And what you need to do a lot of times is, help your team secure those kills, help your team knowing when to weave in the damage and when to be responsible for the healing. So this was a game that was like a little bit more difficult, I'd say. And it was all because of the fact that, like, I will say he picked it up in like in the overtime matches, even though he was ready to give up. But through just having good positioning and playing well, I was able to help my team secure kills, especially through the use of controlling space through my ultimates, which I realized was sort of my win condition. So now that I've shown you, a convergence map, I'll show you one where you might have noticed it from my other video where I was talking over um on talking about like pro play and stuff. But I'll show you a domination map which just went much smoother, but same thought process. Okay, I'll talk over this one much quicker because of the fact that I feel you guys get the point. This one was a little bit lower diamond, I think, on my way through. Mid diamond, maybe. So here, once again, I'm going out. I'm helping my team. I'm wanting my tanks to move up because for some reason they're not. I throw out my bubble. I turn on the damage. And look. I throw on the damage. The thing is getting hurt. I'm doing damage. My teammates are fine. I turn on the heals when I think they might need healing. And we help control the space. I throw down the bubble, and I immediately go on damaging the backline. Because why not? I went in. I didn't care that, my tanks were, the tanks were attacking back here. I saw an entire team of squishies, and I was like, I'm just going to go in there, blind them, and do a bunch of damage myself by throwing my bubble offensively again. Because look, my teammates are fine. My tank had half his health. I don't need to be doing healing right now. I need long range damage, so I switched to dagger there, but throwing down my bubble to stay alive so I can poke it long range. Preemptively throw out the heal, and like, look, I'm doing damage. My teammates fine. They don't need health right now. I throw down the bubble. Immediately, because of the fact that I realize I have my ult and I see a good position to do that same thing of pincering, I pincer. I see this Namor at the back, which makes for an easy kill for me. Oh, I got the Jeff. I thought I got the Namor. And look, the thing is going back. I can play offensively. I can do damage. Now my teammate needs heals. I'm going to prioritize healing. I'm backing out. Thor gets a little bit silly here because he gets walled off. I can't keep him alive. Even he admits he went too far. And look, I'm just helping control space. I'm not afraid to take that fight. I know that I have my bubble. I know that I have my cloak fade. I can stand up close. I hear my teammates ult. I drop my bubble and I go to damage. I force the Luna ult early. And here's the thing, like, I don't necessarily know if Luna would have ulted, but because of the fact that I blinded her and I started doing damage, she felt pressured to use her ult, even though I didn't ult or, we didn't have another support ult or anything. She didn't even use it for the Johnny Storm ult. So, the fact that I could do damage and force that ult when we have 89% is fantastic. So here, prioritizing healing as our team is sort of like regrouping. I'm looking for open opportunities as my team is pushing forward a little aggressively, like that. I drop the bubble down, keep myself alive as I wait for my team. He wants to attack, he wants to fight. I'm going to fight.
My time to shine.
I prioritize healing my invisible woman, which I probably should have done sooner. Now I have my ult, and I'm going to keep my team alive. And what am I going to do as soon as as soon as I get out of my ult? Damage. Look, I'm going to kill that person. I help kill the Groot because I put the damage amplifier on him. I try to take the duel with the Namor, and I realized very quickly after he grabbed the health back that I was screwed. I thought I could kill him before I got the health back, but we took the point, so. But you see how quickly I get my ults and how quickly I use them to give my team the advantage, right?
Fighting until we have a winner.
A big problem people have in this game is sometimes just, not using Q offensively enough or not using it at the right times. Here, look, we have the ult, and my invisible woman ults, and immediately I go into cloak and I start doing damage. My team doesn't need heals right now, so why should I not just try to help them kill everything that's there? Right? He's just going to run around now and stall out, but it's not going to do anything. Storm was low. She didn't die.
We better test this out.
Here I'm walking up with my teammates. You see how aggressively I play a support as well, controlling space while also not dying because of the fact that once I know that I have my 2 right click abilities, which keep me alive. And those right click abilities, as long as I have them, I'll use it to play more aggressive and be more frontline with my tanks so I can help them do damage and control space. Because look, I faced him more to use that defensive ability and I lose track of him, and I should have paid closer attention because I thought my teammates would get him. The thing is going to play aggressive, so I try to do damage. I right click up to sort of get a better viewpoint. I blind the Namor and I get the defensive ability out of him again. I see that my health is low, so I put down my bubble. Now my teammates need health. My teammate gets Groot ulted, so I try to save him and it doesn't work. But look, support ult is down. They don't need me to do anything. And I stand too far outside of my ult, and I end up dying for it. That was my mistake. Right idea, but I didn't fully execute on it.
My time to shine.
I don't remember what I was typing there. Because once again, if I am, a lot of times, resources that aren't being used are resources that are wasted, right? When it's not being used, and it could be, you maybe could have been healing people twice as much if you would have been casting E a bit more often, or, maybe you could have been blinding people just as much. With Cloak and Dagger, because of the fact that using E doesn't mean the other E goes off a cooldown, you constantly want to be switching back and forth in between the two. And it's difficult if you're just heal botting all the time. You don't get enough time to get that damage amplification off. But the thing is, the blind damage amplification is a huge part of her kit in terms of like carry potential. Like that is your way of helping your team secure kills. You can't just heal bot your way through the game. You need to be using and constantly switching back and forth in between. And also, like if you have a Cloak and Dagger on your team, you want to make sure that you're not taking so much damage all the time that she doesn't have an opportunity to use that blind damage amplification. Because even if it gets a hit on a tank, that's still a lot of value. But you want to make sure that you give her time and space to use that ability. Prioritizing healing. I thought with him ulting that I could fit in a quick damage amplification because he was going to do that, but it was not fast enough. I also thought I was safe in that bubble, and sometimes I'm not. But you see that, like, even as I do these videos, a lot of times, like, you see me learning as I'm playing through as well, right?
Their
Like,
team's
I don't
backs
know
are up.
everything, and there's probably other people that are going to sit there and say, like, "Oh, you should have done this in this instance." Like, probably there's going to be times where I'm limit testing myself and seeing like, "Oh, can I get away with this?" And like in that situation right there, I couldn't, but I wasn't afraid to take that risk to die and learn because of the fact that once I die in that situation, I'm like, "Oh, I need to play a bit more safe." I was playing a bit too aggressive. It's no longer working anymore. People need to not be afraid to take risks, but also need to understand that the lessons need to be taken away from that. Otherwise, you're just repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So I see Venom going in, so I throw down an E. And once again, I still throw down the bubble. Once my Venom has taken a bunch of the focus as well as Thor, I throw down the damage amplification and I see them attacking the supports, so I go to help them.
My time to shine.
I see that my teammates have pretty much full health. They don't really need my help. So I'd rather help them secure kills on people that are the immediate threat than heal them and hope that they secure it on their own. Throw down the bubble again, throw down the damage. Throw down the damage amplification and watch how fast he melts.
My time to shine. You owe me one. Seized.
We have triumphed,
And
friends.
now I go up to scout and try and take a look for things. Um,
Just embrace the light.
Any healing is good healing.
I heard footsteps, so
You captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
I was trying to bounce off the wall to hit the tank. I didn't realize that Storm was low. It's kind of on me. I see that he's low, so I put down my ult to try and control that space. And once again, now the ult is up, damage. I was taking damage from behind. I wasn't sure what was happening, so I used my right click.
Hold still. I'm trying to help.
My teammates are doing damage, so I put down my bubble and I threw the damage amplification, and I force another Luna ult. I mess up, but luckily my rocket is in here because what I had meant to do is I meant to right click above this platform and I got hooked on a piece of geometry and then I ended up going back down. But you see how like now I forced the Luna ult and now they don't have it to use it offensively in the point that forced them to use it early. I immediately throw down the damage amplification. I try to kill the ulting Adam Warlock. I kill the Luna before she gets in the Invisible Woman ult. I'm healing my teammates through this. I throw down my bubble and I immediately start doing damage because if I help kill the threat, they don't need me to heal them through it. And then I ult the point because if we win this, the game's over. And just like that, we win the game. But you see how like as powerful as like a Luna ult is in this game, I was able to pop it out of her twice, right? So they didn't have it to use it. And that's your way of carrying in these games is by pulling out those resources so they're not able to use them later. Whether it be their resources that are on shorter cooldowns or whether it be resources like ultimates, pulling out those alts and using your abilities in such offensive ways and sets your team up to where no matter what you put your team in a situation where it's much more difficult to lose those games. But yeah, you don't have to be sitting there and focusing on just being like, oh well, I'm not getting, you're not doing enough heals or whatnot. Like I have in this game, I had 13 final hits, right? The most on my team, right? That's me carrying a support by knowing when to weave in the damage and when to weave in the healing. If my teammates are low, I need to, and they're in danger of being shot at and taking a bunch of damage, or they're not standing near cover, I do need to prioritize healing. But if there's a chaotic fight going on and my tank has 90% of his health, he doesn't need that last 10%. What he needs is help with the threat that he's dealing with right then and there. And sometimes that means damage amplification. Sometimes that means, just doing damage yourself. Uh, there's a variety of tools you can do, and in that, what you need to do in order to carry a support is know you need to do damage, when you need to control space, and when you need to heal. And that is sort of what makes support more fun. Is like you're not just heal botting all game. You're not your main job isn't just to heal, or your only job isn't just to heal. I should say your job is to support your team. And even if you could prioritize healing, right? There's too many people on your team to everybody to be for everybody to be healed all at once. Uh, and you have too many tools in your toolkit that, like, if all I did was heal, then I only would need to play as Dagger. But Cloak exists for a reason. And just the same as all supports have ways to do damage, the strength and the ability to carry yourself into higher games is knowing when to heal and when to do damage. And you will make mistakes as you try to play and figure out, when to do each. But only through not being afraid to make those mistakes will you eventually learn, and eventually gets easier because of the fact that uh, simply just relying on your teammates by just healing isn't enough. You need to help secure the kills, whether it be through getting final hits or whether it be through blinding them and providing support. It's different every game. But, the point is that, support in Overwatch, they used to just say, like, oh, we're not healers, we're support, right? We have multiple roles, and sometimes that means doing damage. And, in the last game previous to this, with that Penny Parker player, like, no amount of healing would have kept him alive from trying to take a fight with a Punisher up close. Heal botting in that game wouldn't have saved that Penny and wouldn't have made the game easier. So what I needed to do was use my ults in ways in the same way that I play a dive hero, by forcing the enemy into a bad position and then pincering them myself. Uh, and as Cloak and Dagger, who primarily I think is not one people see as like a damage dealer, I find that her ability to do damage is actually quite powerful and shouldn't be ignored. And, through the use of her ultimate and her bubble, you can weave in a lot of damage. And I highly recommend you experimenting and trying to do that. But, once again, this also means that, like, when your teammates get low, you need to prioritize healing as well. But yeah, that's my video on support damage weaving, and basically a little bit of a Cloak and Dagger how to. So if you found this helpful, let me know. And if you play Cloak and Dagger sort of a different way, you found a different strategy work, also let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious. This was one where I didn't really watch any tutorials. I saw a couple of tips on like how to play Cloak and Dagger, and just a couple of things to keep in mind, and then I just started playing her from there. But if you found different ways to work with her, let me know. But yeah, if this was helpful, if you, if this was helpful and you rank up, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, uh, if you have any other ideas for other sports you want to see, let me know in the comments. Thanks, guys.